Gents, thank you very much for coming along. Ian, Alex, great to have you here in sunny Warwick. Welcome to our first discussion morning. This is about what's happened recently. We've had a pretty major announcement, and this is a chance for us to talk it through. So, Ian, why don't you tell us just a little bit about what's been going on in terms of the simplification that we've really stressed?
Sure, and obviously what we've been seeing in the industry for a number of years is there's always new technology, there's always a drive for innovation in the market, and inevitably what that leads to is increasing complexity because you're trying to innovate on platforms you've got, you end up with finding a better way to do it with a new platform, and unfortunately that's kind of made things more complex for our customers because they've ended up with multiple different platforms trying to optimize different applications, workloads, and things like that. So I think the great part of this announcement was we've really made it as simple as possible, but without making things actually simpler. Right. So, which is a great quote, of course, from Albert Einstein. Right. So, and that fundamentally, what we're trying to say is we're trying to make the choice for our customers much simpler. We're trying to make it simpler from implementation point of view and management perspective. But we're still going to keep driving and delivering value and innovation as we do that.
But I mean, the thing is, Ian, though, it's not the clients haven't gone out and deliberately embraced complexity. This
kind of been forced on them, isn't it?
Well, it's kind of happened, and part of that I think is the traditionally there's been that view. Well, I've got an enterprise space, I've got a mid-range, and pretty much every vendor, and IBM's no different really, has produced offerings in those areas. And once you define yourself as mid-range or enterprise, that's where you're stuck. And I think the real key around what we've announced is that we've completely torn that apart. Okay, so we said, okay, you can be basically enterprise everywhere. Yeah. We're not
that sort of enterprise platform, as it were.
We're not going to silo you, and the guys that are buying into that top end are going to carry on getting that top end experience. But the real, massive benefit for some of the others is that clients that have traditionally been locked in a much kind of lower value environment are suddenly seeing all these things that they would never have expected.
Yeah, I guess if you think about it, we're it's a new decade, right? And we've had a previous decade where those decisions to keep growing with some acquisitions, yes, all vendors have done it. Huge amounts of innovation, but spread out.
Flash in particular.
Yeah, absolutely. But spread out in different areas. It seemed the right thing to do to meet different sort of business needs at the sort of entry, enterprise, mid-range, enterprise, and so on. Yeah. But now it's quite radical, isn't it? We've just realised that this is causing the customer more complexity. We can really change this by simplifying the portfolio.
And of course it's been exacerbated by the fact that not only is there this on-premise piece, but now as customers are going into this hybrid cloud environment or hybrid multi-cloud environment, if we can't help them with simplification, the whole thing becomes far too complex. So it's how do we make things simpler on-premise for them? How do we simplify that journey to the cloud for them, with a single platform so that they can drive the innovation they need in their business, but we actually sort of help ensure that their data is in the right place, their applications are running in the most optimum space that they can then drive value out of.
And it's a great point because the simplification piece, to actually boil it down, it's things like the APIs, it's the software that they write, it's the management. And with cloud, it gets so much more complex. How do I get my data there? Well, this particular platform sends it this way. This one sends it this way. Yeah. Just to try and get these points across, what we're trying to solve, it's one way to unify how your data can move fluidly between.
The automation piece is absolutely key. And I think if you said to me, well, give us top 3, top 5, whatever, the things that are going to happen in 2020 in our part of the industry. Automation has to be right up there, yes. And particularly that API-driven sort of cloud-like delivery experience, both on-premise and out in the public cloud. Yeah. You can't do that. Well, you can do it, but you're going to have a huge set of problems if you are trying to manage multiple APIs, multiple methods of connecting to clouds. Yeah. So
I think there's even the simplification in the infrastructure itself, because of course I think a lot of our customers thought that with the advent of Flash, well, that's going to make things simpler. It's a single tier. But of course, we've now got multiple tiers of Flash as well. So things like storage class memory, for example, coming in. how do you make sure you can get the value out of that, again, without introducing complexities? So that sort of plays to the automation piece.
You're absolutely right. And I mean, storage class memory in particular is a really interesting innovation. We're bridging that gap between DRAM and between NAND flash. And clearly, from a use case point of view, this is about acceleration. Mm-hmm. So it is about massively lowering that latency yet again. I mean, if you think about it, we've sat down on these conversations in the past, and it wasn't that long ago that we only just started talking about kind of sub-millisecond latency, and now we are halving it again and again and again. And
it's a kind of a consumer-driven thing as well. A lot of it, isn't it? Because everyone expects everything to be so much quicker now. No one wants to wait at all, and particularly, I guess, some of the newer generations coming through, their expectation has started from everything's instant. So you have to keep trying to drive to make things quicker and quicker.
Well, if we look, let's talk a little bit about the actual, products that we've announced here. Really, we're kind of talking about the concepts exactly. But if you look at that range that we've just released, the FS51, the 72, and then the 9200. The great thing about those is that the commonality is around the actual storage itself. Mm-hmm. So it doesn't matter what device you're looking at, they all have that capability around NVMe flash, around storage class memory, right. and also that software tiering. So the ability to put a relatively small amount of SCM into those devices, and it doesn't matter which one we're talking about, and to still gain all that acceleration with no tuning, no management. The system does it for you, because to follow the philosophy we've been talking about, we are reducing the complexity. Why give someone a decision they don't need to make?
A couple of great points there. So the platform, flash system, as you say, different models, but it's the same common hardware throughout and the same software stack. That's what really gives us an edge here, is that we're creating that common way to solve challenges. Yeah, I mean it's about a consistent way.
Absolutely. And all the way from that sort of entry enterprise all the way through to kind of the high-end enterprise with things like our new 9200 rack, for example, as well. So.
Yeah. Software is still absolutely key, because that gives us the portability to cloud environments. Yep. So it's the same management stack, same APIs, all the way through if you're buying into the entry enterprise range, or you're going full-on IBM Cloud or AWS. We've got that fluid flexibility for our software to go.
And you're right, it's that single platform that is sort of on-premise in an array, or it can be the same platform that's running in the cloud, to really make things so much simpler, as we say, the APIs, but also just making kind of data fluidity so much easier. No matter where it needs to be, it becomes so much simpler to actually manage it.
Yeah.
Well, the whole point of that Spectrum virtualized platform, that software platform, is that we can keep delivering year on year, more and more functionality to the underlying hardware. And then don't forget, this is also virtualization software. Yeah. So, in addition to the three devices we've just been talking about here, we've also got 450 other controllers.
500 now.
Was it 500? Oh, okay. Yeah. I thought I was over-egging it on 450. Okay. So 500 different controllers that can take advantage of that. So
and that's really important in that journey to the cloud, because otherwise you end up with multiple cloud strategies as well, don't you? So yeah.
And it does break that kind of refresh cycle as well, I think, by doing that. So once you're virtualizing, it makes things a lot simpler. Yeah.
What I've seen us do as well with the cloud piece now is the functionality that we've got within software. I mean, it's when you go, let's say a customer's got some existing non-IBM storage on their site. Yep. We can put a single common way of managing and coping with storage on top of that. Yeah. Through virtualization. That can then extend to the cloud. And then within the cloud, we can do extremely clever things around the backup DR. So we can give customers a very simple way to get to proper use cases. This isn't just creating this for just because we think it's a good thing to do. This is about real use cases. I need to do
the security, isn't it? It's like safeguarded copy, which I guess is really what you're alluding to with some of the copies in the cloud, for example. Being able to, particularly for some of our smaller clients, being able to use the cloud to have safeguarded copies, because we're all seeing that sort of security threat.
Air gapping, yeah.
Well, I mean, this is unfortunately, I think IBM has a lot of these. This is one of our best guarded, secrets.
Safeguarded.
Safeguarded.
I mean, it must be now 18 months, 2 years since we've been doing transparent cloud tiering.
Yep.
So we have this capability, and have had this capability for quite some time now, to take snapshots, a function that everyone's known and loved for the last 15 years or so, but actually to send that data out to the cloud as an immutable object.
Yes.
So it is absolutely, but with the management within that software platform to be able to bring the thing back as and when required.
Yeah, that's it.
And to come back to this single platform, this is applicable regardless of your requirements. Whether you're looking at a small platform at a remote site or a multi-petabyte environment within a big data center, that functionality is there for you, and it's actually part of the core software as well.
Sorry, I was going to say, I think that just to sort of build on that we've got this simplicity of, whether a customer today has themselves got 3 different data centers they're using, for example. So they might want copies between it for disaster recovery purposes, but maybe they're thinking they want to get rid of one of those data centers, want to start utilizing the cloud. The point is we can help them with whether they've got 3 data centers, whether they've got 2 and they want to use one as the cloud. We can offer that flexibility either today or help them on the journey as to how they get there for tomorrow as well.
It's important to stress that point of how you get there, because that's what I've seen, and this is available to all our clients out there. To see the demonstrations. Our teams are really good at sort of proving and showing what can happen, whether it's on site with the client.
How easy it is as well.
How easy it is, through our demo centers and that kind of thing. But it's that whole moving lift. It is, to many clients, it's a lift and shift approach, and it's taking months of planning, and sometimes often it's being put on the too hard pile, so it's being left alone.
But things are changing. I mean, I think let's talk maybe a little bit about containers and we're talking about cloud.
That's the mechanism.
And it's that. I think maybe right at the beginning it was like a lot of companies were going, right, we're going to move everything to the cloud and that's going to be it, right? It's just going to go. The reality is that's not what's happening. It's about that fluidity between the different clouds. It's a hybrid multi-cloud. It is. You are going to have the on-premise environment. You are going to have those public clouds.
It's understanding what are the right workloads for the right place.
And they will move. So they will go in one direction and then they may well come back or whatever. And so the vehicle for the applications is clearly containers. Maybe we can talk a little bit about OpenShift and Red Hat, a bit later on here. But if we just keep it vanilla at the moment, the containerization is that method, but that doesn't address the issue of data movement. Okay, so the storage has got to support that. So and that's certainly I think what we found back end of last year. Where we took a real kind of strong stance around going open source here. Using the CSI driver, the container storage interface driver, to actually provide that hook for all of our storage, into containers, to support that movement. And I think that that really does need to be right at the front of what we're doing.
Yeah, I think you're right, absolutely right. So I mean, we've got a great setup here. We've got this integration with the containers. We've got a good stance with the work we're going to do with Red Hat, of course. We've got the use cases of cyber resiliency, easy for me to say. We've got the hardware innovation that's continuing to increase. I mean, this isn't about simplifying what we do and slowing down innovation. This is about really focusing, making it simple for our clients, making it simple for them to consume.
Making it simpler for them to actually get the value from the innovation we're delivering, rather than constantly having to go, it's another new platform to integrate into the environment to get innovation. We've got to make that journey so much simpler, because that helps them adopt it faster, they get value from it faster, means they can make fundamental changes to the way their business is running quicker. Make them more efficient, deliver analytics faster, whatever the right thing is for them.
It's got to be simpler because the problems are getting more complex.
Yeah.
So, if you are trying to address issues around not just on-premise challenges around, systems management, data movement, resilience, all those kind of things, but you've also got that, in a multi-dimensional view with the cloud. Finding yourself locked into different silos of infrastructure is a problem that you don't need to have, and that is why we've done what we've done, because you need to break that.
Yeah, that's why we've got these new platforms, and single platform, but on some new hardware platforms to put it on. To give choice, so that it's not one size fits all, but it is one platform that fits all.
Yeah, absolutely. I think it's great. I can't wait to tell more clients about it. I'm sure you two are absolutely the same. So Ian, Alex, great to get together. Let's do this more often.
Yeah, absolutely.
And reach out to your reps or to ibm.com/storage for more information.
For us.
Yeah.